All right, you guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Born ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Game by Show podcast. It's August 15th, 2022. We're here delivering you a show again. My name is LeGrand Jolly. This evening, we're all here for the first time in what seems like 2 years.
It's been a while.
We have Jeremy's over there. Say hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Happy Ides of August, everybody.
There's Dale right there. Hey, Dale.
I think today is the only day in August that it's not the Ides, if I understand correctly.
It's true.
Based on past history.
And Jared burning up down in Texas.
I am sitting in a pool of water right now.
Was that a cat that just fell?
It jumped. It was pushed.
If you're not watching the YouTube stream, you should be. Then you'll see such things as Jeremy's cat jumping from the top.
I usually
of his
close
desktop
the door, but
down.
I'm at the point in my podcasting career now where I'm like, you know what? Whatever's going to happen, we're just going to let it roll.
You know what? It brings a little bit of personality to the show, and I'm all about that.
Que sera.
That's right.
Indeed. Well, apart from the weather and the temperature outside, like everything doing okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes, affirmative.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. So today at HEMA, I got to use my brand new sparring jacket and pants and my new sword and buckler.
Now, is Hema, let's see. Now, that's not He-Man. I feel like we've talked about this before.
Is this a quilted jacket?
It is. Yeah. It's they're a little thicker than the sport fencing jackets because it turns out long swords hit harder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't want to chop your leg off.
Well, they're blunt, but they hurt.
Don't want to break your leg
Getting
off.
hit by like a wooden pole or something, kind of like that.
Yeah. They're
So
steel, but yeah.
I got a question
Are
for
they?
you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the demographic makeup of this group. Are you
Okay.
are you the older guy?
I'm probably
younger
the
guy?
oldest. Let's be
Okay, probably the oldest. All right.
The president of our club is also an engineer at an aerospace company. Go
Okay.
figure.
Not your aerospace company?
Nope, a different one.
You're competitors in more ways than one.
I mean, kind of, but yeah. It's like a mix of male and female. It's a pretty diverse group. I'm going to be honest.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Mostly, I just wanted to find out if you were the oldest one there.
I'm probably the oldest one. It doesn't
I
come
believe
up
it.
a lot in conversation, but
No.
And whatever, Grandpa.
yeah, exactly. I'm the only one with a kid.
Curse
goes
thy
with me.
wizened head.
My
The only one with the kid?
Yeah,
No.
my oldest
Huh.
kid goes with me on Mondays.
So you guys are the oldest and youngest.
The legacy.
We are.
You
It's
have,
true.
so you have an heir if you're stricken down in
That's
combat.
right. I gotta
He, he will avenge you.
teach the young page how to.
Mhm.
You've got to
Avenge
give
my
us an
honor.
heir.
Yeah, you better start teaching him how to avenge you like soon because I feel like your day is drawing near.
Yeah, I mean they are probably
Yeah,
the
it's
ones
dark
that are
over
gonna
here.
drag me down. So
You're going to be paying the iron price here pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh my
Good
gosh,
stuff.
you guys. Well, welcome to the show. It's the show about video games. I've got a video game to talk about, and it's new.
Ooh.
All right.
Wow.
Wow.
I've been playing a game courtesy of Netflix, guys.
Uh-oh.
Okay, the
no.
2%.
I'm one of the 1%. It's 1%.
Is this back down to 1%? Okay.
Which is still like millions of people, by the way.
Sure, there are millions of us. There are dozens. Dozens.
I actually went in their catalog and I downloaded like a whole bunch of stuff. I downloaded a game called Into the Breach. Have you heard of this one?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I think I've talked
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
actually really good on mobile, if you can imagine. I think I
and it
played it
ju-
on PC before.
Does the mobile version? It just had a really large patch kind of rework on it. Does the
Oh,
mobile
yeah.
version include that?
I believe so.
Oh.
And it works really good on a touchscreen. You know, it's a good game.
Yeah, it's all
a good game in
grid-based and
general.
everything. That's good.
Oh yeah, it's great. So I've been playing that. I downloaded a game called True Story, which I have not played. Had good reviews though. I also downloaded Before Your Eyes, which I also have not played, but also had lots of good reviews. I think these are like narrative, like adventure games.
Like the Lost
And-
Phone.
Yeah. momhidmygame.com or whatever
Oh
it is.
man.
Oh, those
Yeah.
were great games.
Hidden my
That's
game
not
by
forever.
mom.
Those were games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hidden My Game by Mom or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they changed it for like the Switch version. They called it Mom Hid My Game.
Yeah,
which
they
is
fixed
way
it. That's
dumber.
dumb.
Yeah, super dumb. Anyway, I have been playing a game called Hex Tech Mayhem, which is this is the League of Legends game. When the League of Legends is like, yo, Riot's like, yo, we're making like 10 spin-off games in our world. This was one that they announced. Hex Tech Mayhem. Now, this game, I believe, is on other platforms as well. It is on the Switch, and it's also on PC. However, Netflix has secured the rights for iOS and Android versions of this game.
So being that it's a League of Legends game, is it free to play?
Well, if you have Netflix, then yes.
I'm about to say, aren't all the Netflix games free?
Well, I was
if you have Netflix.
Yeah, that's
what
yeah.
I was thinking,
so you basically download the game, and then you have to, and then if you have Netflix on your phone, it detects that and automatically just authenticates you, and then your saved games and all your progress are stored to your Netflix profile. So if you have Netflix profiles set up like for your kids or whatever, like they would have their own saved game set up within the Netflix ecosystem, which is
cool. That's pretty great.
Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like the way you'd want it to be, right?
Right, exactly. So I fired it up, and I picked my little robot head. Like this is me, right? Because you select create your Netflix profile.
Yeah,
I'm
you
the
gotta
robot
have that
guy.
angry icon to scare the kids away. Yeah,
exactly. I'm the robot guy. So I picked that guy, and so Hex Tech Mayhem is a League of Legends game that stars Biggs. What is his name? Ziggs. Sorry, my bad. Ziggs. I was way off.
Ziggs.
Ziggs and
Take off every
Heimerdinger.
Ziggs.
Heimerdinger is featured in the Arcane show.
Oh, yeah, Heimerdinger's on there.
Yeah. So this is Heimerdinger and Ziggs, and Ziggs is like a rodent of some sort that blows things up with bombs. Now, the cool thing about this game is that this is made by the dudes that made Bit Trip Runner. And it is a game that is very akin to a Bit Trip Runner game where your character is running from left to right. And in Bit Trip Runner, you're basically jumping and you're sliding and you're doing things like that. And so this game is basically that, but with League of Legends paint on it. So you have 3 different moves you can perform. One is a jump, one is a slam down to the ground, and one is chuck a bomb. And there's little prompts that are on the screen, and you're kind of running across, and it's very rhythm based, just like Bit Trip Runner. So you've got a decent little soundtrack behind you with a nice fat beat, and you're running left to right, and you're jumping over things, you're throwing bombs at stuff, and you're basically just kind of playing through Bit Trip Runner in League of Legends land. Like it's basically that. Which means I actually really like the Bit Trip Runner games, and I remember when I
Captain Video was
Captain Video, and you can actually unlock skins for your character Ziggs, and I'm actually playing as Captain Video, and so I have like a little rainbow trail behind me and all that type of stuff. So like all this little throwbacks back to Bit Trip Runner. So this game is actually pretty good if you like the Bit Trip Runner games, and it works really well on a touch screen. So you have like basically 2 buttons on the right hand side and 1 button on the left, and you tap them. They introduce like different mechanics. So like one's where you have to hold the jump button and release it at a certain time. One is where you have to and then they introduce like, 8th notes where you're tapping it, with different beats and kind of leading into it. And then eventually it kind of gives you to the point where you're playing through the game and there's a certain path you can follow, but there's also indicators of like, hey, you could actually throw a bomb right here too, or maybe you could jump right here too, and it might give you an extra collectible.
Is it a different route through the level or something, or
kind of where it's just more like, so as you're playing through the level, there's like these little gears that you're collecting. That's kind of like your collection, like your gold bars that were in Bit Trip Runner, if I remember, like whatever it was. Like you get at the end of the level, it's like, oh, you collected this many
98 out of 100. Right.
Exactly. and so by like kind of looking into the game and not just following the prompts and realizing like, oh, I can actually jump here, or I can actually perform this move here, or chuck a bomb here, it might present, throw you in another path to grab a gear that you wouldn't get by just following the game. And then it kind of scores you on that as well. So if you're like just doing all this extra stuff, you get, points at the end of the round where it scores you for the level based on how you do. So whether you hit everything on the beat, whether you collect all the gears, and then ultimately, there's like a mayhem score, which is like how much extra stuff you did and how much stuff you blew up and things like that. So it's a solid little game. There's a dumb story that's going on. There's boss battles, which are kind of cool. So, there's like a big, I can't remember if there were ever any boss battles in the Bit Trip Runner games. So, but there are boss battles where,
I kind of feel like there were
out.
like,
I can't remember.
I may not have gotten far enough to fight a boss.
I beat Bishop Runner 1 and 2, so I just don't remember the bosses. But Heimerdinger comes out in a big stompy mech, and you have to, just basically play through a level where you're just fighting him, which is, just kind of, it's a rhythm game, just like Bishop Runner. So it's actually really good. So if you have Netflix, like there's no reason why you can't just check this out on your phone. It's on Android, it's on iOS, and it's pretty good. It's a fine one of those.
I have a couple questions. One is, how's the music and in general? Because I know that the music in this case was composed by Stemage, who is a very well-known kind of video game guitarist, like cover artist. And he composed the music for this. Is it anything special? Is it something memorable? Have you noticed
I think that it's memorable. I've had songs stuck in my head, if that is an indicator of anything.
That's a good indicator.
I think that it's good. I don't think that it's a soundtrack that I would listen to over and over again.
Okay.
Separately. So would I listen to it, just say, oh, this is good stuff? Like probably, but it's not something that I would. Like there's certain video game soundtracks that I will listen to, like Shatter, for example, which is also a Netflix mobile game.
Yeah, you can play them on Netflix.
Shatter soundtrack is fan-freaking-tastic, and I would listen to that today, every day. It's really, really good. And there's, Jeremy, you're in there's soundtracks that you'll pick up and you'll just listen to them. Like Dust Force is another one of those. Like there's several that The Messenger is really good.
Many. Yeah.
Dude, remember that game?
Yeah.
That soundtrack is dope. The VVV soundtrack I'll listen to on the regular, but this it's good. It's good, but I haven't found myself seeking it out yet to listen to it while I work.
Okay,
but it definitely fits the theme. It's got a lot of, the theme of this character, he's kind of like out of control. Mayhem is in the title, Hex Tech Mayhem, and so the music is kind of fits that crazy, off kilter theme.
So then
Mayhem.
My second question then is gameplay wise, because Bit Trip was always very like bloop 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 bloop, bloop. Like your actions would contribute somewhat to the music. Is the rhythm part of this additive to the musical part?
100%. Yeah, it's all part of it. So like the jumping has a specific sound, but the thing is like you're triggering them on the beats. So the music is clearly designed to incorporate the sounds of the explosions from your throwing bombs and stuff like that. The drop down things and the jumps and that type of stuff. So yeah, 100%.
Right on.
It's good. It's a good game, man. I think that if you have Netflix, which
I'm sort of tempted. I never bothered to log into Netflix on my phone, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. So I'm like, well,
I don't even have it installed on my phone.
Yeah,
I do.
Maybe for this,
it's very easy. Like you basically the way that the Netflix stuff works, maybe I should tell people, because it is kind of a pain. It's not a pain in the ass. You just have to know how to do it, which is not very apparent. So if you open up the Netflix app on your phone, which I actually heard that these games also work on like Apple TV, for example, which is kind of cool, I guess. But you basically open up the Netflix app on your phone, and if you're on your phone, there's like a section, and you kind of have to find it. Like it's not like a tab. It's like, you have like the list of genres. Like here's your anime, and here's your action, and here's your documentaries, and then here's games. Wow, look at this. And so you can basically click on that and then browse through the list of games. If you tap on one of those games, it takes you to the App Store, because that's how it works, right?
I was going to say, you can also find these games directly through at least Google Play. You can find them, and it'll be like the Netflix version of it.
Yeah, so if you search for like Netflix, all capitals on iOS, it'll bring up all the games, which is what I actually ended up doing, and then found the ones that I wanted, and then looked at reviews and looked at the ones, and they have there's actually a pretty decent. Into the Breach is a solid freaking game. Yeah. Moonlighter's on there. Moonlighter is a very good game. It's got controller support. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
And Hex Tech Mayhem is a good game, and it ports well to mobile. It's on other systems as well, but it works really well on mobile. And I don't know. It seems like Netflix has done a poor job of actually.
But can I play
presenting this stuff
on my TV with my Roku remote?
That would be pretty great.
It wouldn't.
I need to try it out.
Roku had games, and they were awful.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah, because the remote was like you could turn it sideways, and it had a little D-pad. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I had a Roku before I had my Apple TV, but. I need to try it still, the Bluetooth, like my Xbox controller, to my Apple TV, and try playing Netflix games on there, because I don't know, whatever.
Why not?
Cool.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
So give it a shot, everyone. Hex Tech Mayhem. That's what I've been playing.
Indeed.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, I've been playing a game mobily. but not
What's
by
that?
Netflix. So I've been playing. Okay, so we've all played a game where there is no reasonable explanation at why it like hooks you so much. Like, it's probably okay, middling game, but it's just like for some reason you just start playing it and you're like, yes. Okay, so I've been playing Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms on my Steam Deck. And yeah, it's just like that. I'm like, I bet there's a lot of people that are like, this game's garbage, but I'm like, this is the best game ever.
You know what? That doesn't characterize any of the games you talk about on this show.
I just searched for screenshots of this game, and this game looks like the most Jared game I've seen.
It is
nigh on 2 years, probably. Like, this is the one.
Okay, so here's how it plays out. It is like a Dark Souls combat driven game that looks like Baldur's Gate.
Or
that's what this game is.
Online.
No. It looks better in Ultima Online.
Are there souls that you can spend for upgrades?
No, it does just use gold, but the combat is very methodical, right? You don't want to just go spamming, you'll get killed. And it actually gets kind of tricky because you usually find yourself one on many, and the enemies actually do a pretty good job of kind of dashing in at different times to take advantage of you being vulnerable from trying to kill somebody else. So it's actually really interesting. You really hammer the dodge key a lot, actually, is what I noticed. But yeah, and it's actually just like a really kind of refreshing like adventure. Like, exploring feels kind of explorative. Building the character out is interesting. You only get so many options. Like, you only get to choose 4 passive skills and 4 active skills, and that's it. There's, I don't know, 24 or something, right? And
you swap them out whenever you want. Or is that
as far as I can
at?
tell, you cannot.
So it's just when you create a character, you choose those?
No,
or?
and so here's the other interesting way on how you like level up in the game. There's no experience that you earn in the game. There are there's cities and like points of interest, and in there, it's like scenes where you go from like a zoomed out map where you're just like a little flag or whatever moving. And then when you go over one of these points of interest, it's like a non-combat zone that you go into and find quests and NPCs to talk to and stuff like that. And then there are these I forget exactly what they're called, but they're like combat arenas, right? And they're basically dungeons, if you think of it that way, right? So you go to it, and they're not like underground dungeons, but they're get from the beginning to the end. There's bad guys on the way, and there's a chest you loot at the end that ends the encounter. And you level up every time you do 2 of those. So it's like constantly pushing you to like keep going. And again, the combat and the economy is actually kind of balanced, not in your favor. So I often find myself wondering how I'm going to afford a health potion so I don't die. And it actually got a little better. I mean, pro tip, like, pick up one of the heal spells. Like, I don't know how you'd finish the game without it.
As one of your 4.
Yeah, one of your 4. You only get 4, so like you don't get like 2.
So technically, you only
stupid.
get 3 and a heal.
Well, and what's interesting about the heals is they are limited. So in the encounters, like the one I have, you can only use it 3 times. So you kind of gotta I don't know. You don't take damage is how you survive.
Why didn't I think of that?
Get good.
Yeah, get good. Yeah, right. Like, don't kill them first. But yeah, it's just I feel like for me, it's just the right mixture of exploring, and it feels fresh. Like, the world is not too ham-fisted. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, guys, the bad guy won, and he lives in the center of the thing, and he's coming back, so you got to go like kill him. whatever. But
so what I'm trying to figure out is this like Diablo with fewer choices, or like what's the niche it's filling exactly?
Yeah, I guess it's more of an adventure RPG.
It's filling the.
I was going to say,
like, you know, it's
Jared
guys who go and fight with long swords in their free time are all about Alaloth. Okay,
dude,
Jared, I was gonna say it almost sounds like an adventure game.
Kind of is, but it's kind of the combat. If you like adventure games like point and click, you would hate the combat,
right? It's
because it's hard,
frequent to be.
Yeah,
right.
and it is frequent. Like on the overland map, like you'll see these like tokens or whatever. One's like a troll, and it'll like chase you down. If he catches up to you, you're in combat. So there's random encounters. It's like a Link 2 or Zelda 2 overland, right? As you're moving, it's like they like pop up and they come after you.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is there's, I did a quest that was optional. It's not like the main story or anything. And one of the factions, Overland, one of the brigand factions, I guess I killed enough of their leaders. They leave me alone now. Like that was the quest reward was, hey, whatever. Yeah, I'm in charge now. We'll leave you alone from here on out or whatever. So I was like,
are you
well,
just
cool.
a single character the whole time, or do you have a party?
So I have seen that it refers to there are 12 companions you can find.
Mm-hmm.
I have not found one, so I don't know. Or if I found them,
so
they never joined me.
Still possible.
So yeah, I don't know.
You're saying there's a chance.
But I did one of my other skills, one of my 4, was one where I can summon a. It's like a foresty rangery skill. So
mime.
Yeah, it's like a tree looking human thing.
All right.
That like is like follows you around and
so you've only got 2 abilities now.
Yeah, and so for those who are interested, my other abilities is a holy anti-undead like fireball looking thing, but it's like gold. So it does like okay damage to regular enemies, and undead enemies it does like 4 times the damage. So it's pretty good. And the best skill that I have is this like leaping lunge attack that I have. You like cross half the map and not quite that far, but you lunge at the enemies and it does big damage to the enemy you hit, and it has a chance to stun everybody around you. So it's pretty good because you can land that and then usually a hit or 2. Oh, the other thing in the combat is you have 2 attacks, like regular attacks, a fast attack and a heavy attack. So it's kind of like fighter game-ish, I guess. I don't know. It's a really interesting mix on the combat.
All right. So recommended for what kind of people?
People that fight with swords and wear quilted.
Yeah. Like people who, if you like Dark Souls combat, but also liked Baldur's Gate.
And you like only 4 abilities or less.
I mean, if you
That's
can
the requirements.
The Venn diagram of Baldur's Gate players and Dark Souls players, where does that intersect?
It isn't. It's
Somewhere.
like 2 owls' eyes, like like out here.
It sounds like a pretty normal Venn diagram to me.
Yeah. So where I think the limited choice is driving towards is, so there's 4 races in the game: dwarves, orcs, humans, and something else.
Dryads.
Elves, of course. And depending on which race you start as, like, will start you in an entirely different area. So I could very well see picking a different race, a different class, using different type of weapon, and doing it all again, and it feeling fairly different. I mean, there's going to be stuff that's the same, like you've been to the locations, but
are there like choices in the role playing that you would do differently, maybe? Anything
so
like that?
There are things that, like, if you complete quests, will change the world, like those brigands that leave me alone now. But I have not noticed any branching like dialogue options in the game. It's the quests are just here's some text. Okay. Like there's not multiple choices that you can say, okay, I'll do this or not, right? Or I'll do it this way or this way. So it's fairly straightforward. It's not like the type of game where you enter into one of these combat areas and there's like a sneaky route and a direct route. There's one path and you're killing everything on the way. So, but it's a lot of fun. So it's very combat oriented. So it's very action RPG. But the adventure feels great. Like, I don't know, honestly, it's just a joy to play, and it plays great on the Steam Deck.
It looks fairly like low in terms of system requirements.
Yeah, I will say don't bother if you don't have a gamepad. Mouse and keyboard is not good.
I noticed the other thing I noticed in all the screenshots is that there were a lot of button prompts, like gamepad button prompts.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that kills it is, your guy can run in like all directions. It's like isometric view. On the keyboard, you can only run like in 8 directions. So you're kind of like constantly doing this.
Even if you push 2 buttons at the same time?
Well, that's the other 4 directions you get is you can run up, which is, the map isn't like oriented like that. So you're like running in some random direction, or you can run left, or you can run up left, but that's not necessarily where you're going.
So it doesn't use mouse click to move. It uses the arrow or the WASD.
Yeah.
Dumb.
It uses the gamepad is the correct answer.
Interesting.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Alaloth, the Champions of the Four Kingdoms, it's like $25, I think. It's not even all that expensive.
Yeah.
It's in early access right now on Steam.
Correct. So I have heard that the majority, if not all, of the systems they intended to be in there are in there. But I can see some areas where they might improve over time, like the random encounters. They always happen on the same scene, so it's like, okay, if you could spice that up a little bit, maybe things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun game.
All right,
cool. Well, let me go ahead and give a quick update because I haven't played anything new, but my daughter did restart our island in Animal Crossing New Horizons. So she's been wanting to do that for a while, and finally, like, the time passed basically where it had been like so long since any of the rest of us in the family had been playing that we were just like, okay, fine.
Whatever. Time for the machines to reset the simulation.
Yeah, basically. And so tonight I, made my character and hopped onto the island, which she's been, I guess it's been about a week now, maybe a little bit less than a week, but she's already got things like really rolling. Like she's got, there's a bridge already, so we can go to another part of the island. There's like, I don't know, 4 or 6 residents, NPC residents.
Do you have a favorite?
I don't think I've even met all the new ones. I haven't even met all of them this time around yet, because I only started my character tonight and I played for about an hour. But
do you have any arch rivals among the animal residents?
Not yet. No? On our first island, Flo was probably my favorite of the villagers. She's a penguin.
Oh yeah.
Very excitable penguin.
Have I said that I just really love the little jokes in all the animal names? Like,
oh yeah,
Flo, she's because Ice Flo, she's a penguin who lives on an ice floe.
But so yeah, to get my start, I picked a place on the island that's kind of like by a river, in the woods, sort of. Heck, with like a kind of a little ridge or cliff sort of behind me, So
Dad's hermitage.
Yeah, basically.
Just waiting for the kid to cut down all the trees.
I'm across the river from like where the Nook's Cranny is, so like a little bit, out of the way. But yeah, then I went and got some branches, got some fruit, met up with Tom Nook and got the spiel about the like DIY workstation, did my first, like shell collecting on the beach and
negotiated the terms of your indentured servitude.
Oh yeah, all that. Sold my first few things to Timmy and Tommy. Got a bunch of Nook miles from doing things for the first time, So yeah, it's I'll check back in a day or two and go from there.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that like now in this game, there's sort of like character progression. So it's not just that your town got wiped, but all of your Nook miles and your
all of that is gone.
recipes.
It's like we'd never played the game before.
Yeah, that's kind of a big step.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have to get buy-in from the whole family before you want to do something like that. Because my wife had played this game a lot. I played it a lot. Both our kids had played it a lot.
Well,
but by the same token, it's like I had maxed my house out basically and was like pretty much uninterested in doing anything else with it.
You're done,
right?
You can only dive for so many fish, or whatever.
Yeah, like I had all my rooms in my house finished, and like they all had a different theme, and I wasn't really interested in like undoing any of those and like coming up with a new theme. But a fresh start on the game, the things that you'll accrue in your like daily message bottle DIY recipe or whatever,
it'll be all different.
It'll be all different. Yeah. And it's a good little experience.
That's cool. And some people get really attached to their towns and just save it forever and leave it locked in amber, as it were. But it might be a good practice to.
I wish they would take that game and do a spin-off with the Pelican airplane guys, because they were the best.
I could see that happening.
Yeah, those the little bespoke kind of new characters are always fun from game to game to see who they introduce. Oliver and Wilbur, I think their names are something like that.
That sounds about right.
But they get real excited and they type without even hitting the keyboard.
Yeah, they don't even touch the thing, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Well, the game that I played, I'll keep it brief. It's not anything that is super complicated or anything like that. It's a game called Umurangi Generation, which I guess is an award-winning indie game from a couple of years back. And,
I've heard about this. Yeah, adventure game sort of thing.
Kind of. It's sort of a first-person photography sort of game. So kind of along the same lines as your Pokemon Snap, or it seems like somebody else was talking about some kind of photography style game that wasn't Pokemon Snap-ish recently. But anyway,
Fatal Frame.
Maybe it seems like we were talking about something and Pokemon Snap came up somehow. But in any case, Umurangi is so the game is actually made by a Maori, a New Zealand game designer named Naftali Faulkner. I guess he goes by Tali. And I found this game kind of interesting, so I listened to an interview or two with him, and kind of his what would you call it? His thesis behind the game is kind of interesting as well. The game is pretty short. It takes place in a series of small, separate little levels. So what it sort of reminds me of on a number of levels is Katamari Damacy, in the sense that you have a limited amount of space. It's got particular boundaries. The progression for the level is pretty well set, in the sense that, sort of like in Katamari, you could only start out with little things, and the game was, orchestrated so that the little things were over here and the slightly larger things were over here, and it would kind of guide you sort of through the level. Umurangi Generation is so the word Umurangi means red sky, which is sort of indicative of like the sky when there are mass wildfires or something like that. So sort of like red sky. Like this is supposed to be like the last generation of people in a hypothetical world-ending situation, and your job, which is kind of vaguely open-ended, is as a photographer to take pictures of specific things, and I guess sort of to chronicle the events maybe, but somebody's paying you. Like, you've got some benefactor who's giving you like $5 a photo, and it'll tell you based on your composition. They base it on color, composition, and content, I think is the way that the little tutorial indicates it. But the fact is, it's so arcane, I have no idea. Like, I'll just point the camera and click it. You can control the zoom, and you can control the focus. And as you go through the game, if you they give you a preset laundry list of these are the things you need to take pictures of, and they're pretty explicit. And there's like 7 or 8 of them per level. And as far as I can tell, they're always in the same place. So once you've played the game a couple of times, it's again also like Katamari, where the level has a flow to it and a rhythm, and you kind of, if you were to play it again, you can kind of get there. The game also has a timer, and so the idea is that if you get these photo bounties, and if you get them in a certain amount of time, and there's extra bounties also, like finding film rolls around the level or whatever, they give you extra, like, here's a fish eye lens, and here's some extra filters or whatever. The aesthetic of the game is very like low poly, like almost like PS1, but somebody's been messing with all the filters and the like the textures and whatever. Like it just kind of looks grungy with highlights of like neon looking accents and things on city signs and things like that. The game ostensibly takes place in like the 2030s, like the late 2030s in New Zealand. So it's sort of like built over. There's like giant cities or what have you.
The description on Steam says that it takes place in the shitty future. Quote.
Yeah. So the idea is that it's kind of in it's not post-apocalyptic. It's sort of like pre and mid-apocalyptic kind of times. And you're there kind of with your friends, like you can, and they're all like wearing like, long pants and beanie caps and they look like something from like Jet Set Radio or something. They kind of look like characters like that. Like they're all like,
or Sludge Life.
Yeah, the guy in fact, the guy actually also made Sludge Life. Yeah.
Oh, is the same guy? Really?
I think it's the same guy. Yeah, I actually think
okay.
it is. Look, double check me on that, but I'm pretty sure Naftali Faulkner is the guy's name. But anyway, the game can be as much or as little as you want to put into it, and I find that I tend to want to put less into it. But the guy's theory behind it is sort of like there's a real world analog to real life events that are sort of traumatic and gradually world-ending events. So he kind of relates. The game to like global warming, for example, or COVID or something like that. And he's sort of like this raging neoliberal guy, and he's open about it. He's like, no, this is my worldview, and this is what I put into this game. And I think there's something like 12 levels overall. And in the game, the world of the game is sort of dealing with this idea. And he uses also the Australian wildfires from a few years ago. And it was right around then that he was making the game. And I guess it came out kind of before a lot of the riots and stuff in the United States for police brutality and things like that. So this is kind of where he is. And he's like, oh yeah, everybody kind of knows, like we sort of have it ingrained in our culture these days that giant corporations are kind of bad, and that we've all known since we were little kids that there's holes in the ozone layer and whatever. And so he kind of extrudes that idea into this game, and the main threat here is like UN, like the UN is an actual police presence. They don't do much. They just stand around. So their characters, again, kind of like in Katamari Damacy, you've got a character who's just standing there and his only job is to get rolled up and then his arms wave around or whatever. The same thing is sort of true in this. There are other characters and they might even be like dancing or whatever, but they don't really affect you in any way. You don't talk to them or whatever. They're just sort of there to provide some context where you, as you go through these levels, are kind of progressively experiencing the world-ending event in the game, which I'm just going to tell you what it is. It's kaiju.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's always the kaiju.
It's Into the Breach.
Yeah, exactly. And there's even like walls, so it's like got that Pacific Rim sort of thing going on. And you eventually get to levels where you can see like these weird jellyfish kaiju who are, kind of doing things. And you'll come across shrines of like those who've deceased in the struggle and what have you. And so the game just has you basically going around and taking pictures of things. And it's kind of chill. Like it's kind of interesting to experience the level design and story design as it's been crafted into the game. And maybe there's even something there to think about if that's the kind of thinking that you subscribe to or whatever. But as I found myself getting closer, I was just playing it today and I'm like, I want to see these other levels. So I found myself just like looking up on a fact, like where are these things that I need to take pictures of? And they're the same every time. So I was just like, yeah, let me run over there. Like, I'm sure there's some deeper meaning here, but I'm just going to take a picture of that real quick. Am I going to bother with the angle or the filter? Nope. I'm just going to like take a picture. So I kind of, like some people who are like,
bare minimum.
Yeah. Like the people who are like, God of War's stupid because all you do is hit the triangle button over and over again. Like you're kind of playing it wrong. So it's on you mostly,
kind of.
But I own it. I own it in this case. Like I was just kind of interested, but because I sort of did find it interesting to see like how was the the found story, or I can't remember what we used to call it when like you'd find skeletons in a pizza box in Half-Life 2 or something like that. You know, the
emergent narrative.
The emergent narrative. I was interested to find out, and nothing's emergent in this because it's all set in stone. So that I guess it's just the narrative. But I was interested to see like how were those little narrative cues composed in the game, because I was just kind of interested to see, well, how does this guy think about stuff. It's interesting, and it kind of took me back to listen to a podcast about what does this guy think about stuff, because it used to be, I can't remember if we were on air or not last week when we were talking about One Up and One Up Yours, where they would bring creators on, and it's kind of interesting too to hear young people, younger than us, people in podcasts being like, this podcasting is really a great medium to learn about the people behind video game design and stuff. Like they've discovered this new thing. But it is kind of interesting to hear the guy talk about his particular background in New Zealand and what it's like to be an indigenous person making games and that sort of thing. And I did find that interesting. And the kaiju thing is kind of a fun little angle too. But also the music is a vibe. The soundtrack to this is on vinyl record, which is kind of what prompted me from the list of stuff on Game Pass. I did play it from Game Pass. I think it was a recent addition to Game Pass. And the music is chill and it's got kind of a vibe, and it is kind of neat to just kind of go through it. And it's short. It can be a little bit of one of those protracted experiences when you're like, I just need to find this one thing on the list. Somebody please tell me where it is. But I tell you what, the solution to that is just go look it up on the internet and don't think twice about it. And the guy even said, like, I don't really care. Go find the solutions or whatever. He's trying to get you to think about stuff instead. So Umurangi Generation, maybe some things to think about. Not too deep on the gameplay, but kind of fun again to see a very simply designed and created game that wants to tell you something, and you have an opportunity to interface with the creators in that respect. And it's free on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, go try it out. I streamed it. No regrets to play Umurangi Generation. That's what I've been playing.
All right.
Cool.
Super.
I got some new releases here, courtesy of tech-gaming.com. We have exactly 2 new releases that are not new. Spider-Man Remastered's out for PC. And Axiom Verge 2 is on the Switch, which
I think this is the physical release, because I know that the digital version of that game has been out for like a year now. So
yeah, I played it on Epic Game Stores where I have Axiom Verge 2. I don't really care for it, but
Axiom Verge 1 was one of my,
compared to the first one.
It still is my all-time like Igavania game, even over stuff like Super Metroid, which seems to be a really controversial opinion. But I didn't touch Axiom Verge 2 yet. And
you bring that up as if we haven't talked about that like 80 times on this show.
I'm just waiting for the definitive Axiom Verge 2 to come out on Netflix games.
Yes.
That's when I'll play it. Also, we have some new Destiny guns that are coming out. We have Hell Blasters, which is classic.
Interesting because it's plural,
for sure. And a gun called the Last Threshold.
That probably actually is it. I bet you anything that's actually a Destiny gun.
Probably is. It's probably not new. It's probably old, and our source just got mixed up. That's probably exactly what happened there.
That could be it.
There are some multiverse characters coming if you're playing that Multiverses game that DC, not Warner Brothers, right?
WB, yeah. I just like the fact that it's so confounding. Like talking about like the continuum of where these characters are from. I just want to keep my eye on this game, so I'm going to keep putting it in the news.
So Black Adam and Stripe from the Gremlins. I'm assuming Gremlins 2 is coming.
Yes, right. Yeah,
is coming to that. Also, next week, the next patch content in Final Fantasy 14, which is 6.2. It's called Buried Memory. Is coming August 23rd. So I'll be resubscribing back to Final Fantasy 14.
Ready to pick it up again?
I mean, I'll come back and pay $15 for a month to play the new content and then unsubscribe until whatever. Like
I think later this month, or maybe it's at the very beginning of September. I forget when. Guild Wars 2 is having its 10th anniversary.
Cool. Oh. I know that there's some free stuff over at the Amazon Gaming landing page for Guild Wars 2. Also, you can get like a shirt or something.
Yes,
dude, I can't wait to get a shirt.
Get a shirt. News. We got some news going on out in the world of video games, and the first one that kind of came and went all in the course of this last week is Unity, the game company and game engine that have been the source for a whole bunch of things. In fact, I think Into the Breach actually is a Unity game. I want to say. I could be wrong about that.
I mean,
But also stuff like Ori and the Blind Forest and so on and so forth. They were tendered an offer by a company called AppLovin, which I think what it is they like showed their obviously fake ID. Okay, that's a super bad joke. Yeah, AppLovin. Anyway, so this offer to purchase Unity by AppLovin has been rejected, and it was a fairly I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was trying to decide like if it's a good offer or not. They offered $17.5 billion to buy Unity, which seems all right. I mean, it seems like a pretty good
bet
amount.
Unity, I think like the week before, was like, if anyone offers us anything less than 17.6, we're not talking.
It just did not meet their high standards. And Unity CEO John Riccitiello, which I did not actually realize John Riccitiello was the CEO of Unity.
Oh yeah, that's come up before.
Has it? Okay, all right. Yeah. I guess maybe I wasn't paying attention. But John Riccitiello, I think most famous for being at Harmonix, I'm pretty sure is where
EA.
Maybe not. Was it EA? EA. Okay, maybe that was it. I thought it was Harmonix. Maybe there was some crossover there. Anyway, they basically said that probably. I think they actually did. Yeah, and then closed. No, there's still
didn't Epic buy Harmonix? Or they bought some video. Oh no, they bought Bandcamp. Sorry, they knew they bought some.
Oh yeah, they did buy Bandcamp. Right. Yeah, that's right. And it has not improved either, by the way, guys. So I don't know. Anyway, so they just said that it was not in the best interest of their company and shareholders and whatever. But anyhow, so sorry, AppLovin. We won't be able to say AppLovin anymore after today.
I guess Unity wasn't loving it.
Yeah. Guess not. And then here's something that I don't know. Maybe Jared has some interest in this. I kind of brought it up because NFTs are also a thing that has kind of come and gone over time. I don't think NFTs are quite as significant in the news. But Richard Garriott, also known as Lord British, his most recently announced MMO, Iron and Magic. I think it used to have some other sort of code name, but it's called Iron and Magic.
Effigy.
Yes. Okay, that's right. Is now
what a generic ass name that is.
A little bit.
Iron and Magic.
It's kind of like Might and Magic, or Sword and Sorcery, or Wizards and Warriors.
Of course, has a pre-order.
Wizards and Warriors.
I don't have a pre-order.
Yeah, you'll buy it though.
But here's the thing. So they're still digging into NFTs over there, and you can buy NFT land in the realm of Lord British, which I don't know if there's going to be a Lord British cinematic universe happening here, but Shroud of the Avatar, and so I think there might have even been something in Tabula Rasa. I don't know, but
yeah. So some of the things they were kind of talking about.
Tabula Rasa, what a throwback that was!
Man, I have the collector's edition of that game.
Of course you do.
Still good.
Jeremy only has the vinyl.
Going up.
Yeah.
Jeremy doesn't have the game. He only has the vinyl.
I actually have like Tabula Rasa dog tags. Okay, so here's some of the things that we're kind of talking about I didn't see it in this article, but in an earlier article, when they first announced, were kind of interesting concepts in terms of players being able to create content and then maintaining ownership of it, which is really kind of fascinating. But then they started talking about the quote, buy land in the realm of Lord British, which made me think of Shroud of the Avatar, where it's like, oh, I want a house. Cool. That costs like $400. And you're like, no.
That's the metaverse, baby. Let's go. Bring on the future.
Yeah, so
the metaverse is going to be in this Iron and Magic game. That's where it's going to finally land.
I don't know.
Well, anyway,
he has some interesting people behind it, so I don't know.
He'll probably make it. I guess the question is whether the market will care. I suppose that's kind of been his problem in the latter day.
Yeah,
legacy of Lord British, I think, but. Anyway, keep your eye out for Iron and Magic. Buy land in the realm of Lord.
He's been to space, so all of your arguments are invalid.
That's true. That's right. But I think he's been under the ocean also.
Yeah, so he's been to like the Mariana Trench or something, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see.
He should really update his name. I mean, he's such a well-traveled individual. I mean, can he do better than Lord British? How about Lord Galactic or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, right? Yeah.
Lord
That would-
Solar. How about
That
that?
would generally be so cool if he's like, no, I'm Lord Galactic now.
Yeah. Who's gonna
He's
stop
the
that?
avatar formerly known as Lord British.
Lord
Yeah.
Galactic. I love that. Well, guys, that is going to do it for our main news segment. We still have more fun for everyone in our new speed run. Start that music.
Starfield modders are already getting together pre-release to plan mods. I actually read and to plan a community patch. Talk
Yeah.
about
All right,
confidence in that
you got the
game.
nude mod. I've got the nude mod. You make the train, the freaking Thomas the Tank Engine mod. I'll make the
Hey
nude
guys, I've got the mod just to get the game to launch and not crash.
Yeah.
I got the mod for Morrowind created in Starfield.
I got the 1-1 Mario Brothers mod. No problem. We got this.
Oh, man.
I've got to change all playable characters to Garfield so you can play Garfield in Starfield.
Garfield and Starfield, man. That's the best mod ever. I'm playing
That's
that.
right.
John Wick director wants to make a Ghost of Tsushima movie in Japanese. So
I support this. I think it's pretty good.
Sure.
I'm just gonna sit next to Dale the whole time and be like, what did that guy say? Why did he do that?
It'll be
Yeah.
subtitled,
What's going on now?
weirdo. Come on.
No, hopefully they will use like archaic Japanese from like 1200 years ago or whatever,
And it'll
so
be
that nobody can understand it.
but it'll be subtitled in Old English. So you'll be like, what?
Yeah,
In
Middle
King
Ages.
James English, no less. It'll be great.
That'll be sugoi. It turns out that the Lord of the Rings isn't finished yet. I know we're still waiting on Lord of the Rings Gollum, which I don't
Nobody's
think
waiting
is
on that.
a movie property. But Weta Digital is actually getting involved in this one. So this, I don't know if it's going to be like the New Line Cinema. They're not really clear about this, but there is a new upcoming game, which is by Private Division. And I'm not actually sure. They publish things like Kerbal Space Program, Obsidian's Outer Worlds, and so on and so forth. They've just done a number of things, and Weta is going to be involved. So
Cool.
interesting.
Well, there was an Overwatch
2024.
Pro, an Overwatch Pro player by the handle of Myungbong finds out he's been fired in a tweet along with the rest of the world. So that was unceremonious.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
unfortunate. We actually, my daughter and I, for her birthday, we watched Overwatch League, and we already have favorite pros now. So I'm in.
Oh, that sounds
all in.
horrible.
Yeah,
Does that
they
still
did-
happen?
They did Myungbong wrong.
Yeah.
Wait, did I say that right? Myungbong.
Speaking of
Okay.
wrong, Bitcoin farmer Riot Blockchain in Texas receives state subsidy for turning off some miners, makes a bunch of money. So here's the thing with Texas and electricity, y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah.
decided it didn't want to play nice with the national regulations and just made its own grid.
Mm-hmm.
And it very frequently in the summer cannot handle demand at all.
I mean, it's
And
just
in the
like
winter,
everything else in
apparently.
Texas.
And in
Demand
the
is
winter.
bigger in Texas.
yeah. So
So they, I guess what
Fucking
happened is these guys
Bitcoin.
received a subsidy from the state to turn off some of their miners, which still, they made like 30% fewer millions. And then also
I
received
hate
the
And they
state
took the
subsidies
subsidies
for
and bought more
Hey,
miners.
Jared, I
Yeah.
think that guy's messing with Texas.
he
Oh.
is.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
I heard that in a song somewhere,
Yeah.
I think.
Half-Life 1 fans have decided to just group together and decided to set a concurrent user record on Steam, and well, they did it.
You know what? Anything is possible. You can do anything you want. Anything you set your mind
Because Half-Life 1 came out before Steam was. I mean, Steam came out with Half-Life 2, right?
How come nobody told me this was going to happen? I could have logged on.
How
I super would have logged in.
How do we think that Venn diagram between these Half-Life 1 nerds and the modders getting ready to mod Starfield before it's even out?
Probably all of them. They just let this run in the
It's-
background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the record, if you're wondering, is 12,280 players.
That's modest. I think it's doable
For any game on Steam or for Half-Life?
for Half-Life 1.
That's for Half-Life.
Yeah, for Half-Life
I would
1.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Fire unfortunately broke out at Nintendo HQ, and 8 fire engines were called. Employees were able to
Whoa.
douse the flames, and some items were damaged.
Weird.
And unfortunately, Mario's hat.
I'm about to say it's Hattie or whatever his name was.
Yeah. He's. There will be no Mario Odyssey sequel because Cappy,
Cappy.
unfortunately, was lost in the fire.
He's what doused it. He sacrificed himself. It was very brave.
Thoughts and prayers for Cappy's family or his wife or whatever it was in that game.
Well, they finally did it. Someone got doomed to run on an actual farm tractor.
That's pretty great.
You know what? I didn't know they even had monitors. I would these days they do.
Get some giant speakers and play the E11 as you're like taking those tight turns to harvest.
Yeah, what is that? The off-brand version of the Metallica song "Jump in the Fire"?
Or something like that.
One of those.
Yeah, definitely not kosher. No. And I don't know what this last thing is, so Dale, you're gonna have to do 2 in a row because no one knows what this is all about.
Oh, so I noticed that you guys remember Ganshin Impact? Remember that game?
Oh yeah,
sure do.
They apparently slap a title on their like major, updates or whatever, which is not uncommon. You've seen games do that before.
Final Fantasy 14 we just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
No Man's Sky does it.
Yeah, they do too. So Genshin Impact's next big update, it's like 3.2 or something or other. They're calling it the Morn 1,000 Rose Brings, which I have no idea what the hell that means, but I do like it. I think it has panache.
I don't know. It's too edgy for me. Like, come on,
the
guys.
Morn 1,000 Rose Brings?
Is that, you know what?
Roses.
I thought this whole time I thought that said the mom 1,000 rose brings.
No.
I'm like, what? There's a problem with kerning here when you create
you're true. There is definitely a problem with kerning.
The mom 1,000 rose brings. Wonderful.
It's probably going to be pretty good.
Your mom's going to love it.
I bet it'll gotcha.
Your mom's going to love it.
100%.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of your Game Bytes Show podcast and this speed run. I want to thank you very much for sticking with us to the end, getting your weekly dose of all of the video game news and what we've been playing and all kinds of good stuff. If you have any thoughts about the games that we played, if you want to share with us the games that you've played, you can find us on social media and do that. Collectively, we are at Game Bytes Show on Twitter. You can also find us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
You can find me at Legrand.
I'm at Count Elmdor.
I'm at Red_I.
You can find us at youtube.com/GameBytesShow, where we do this thing live. Come and chat at us or something. Send us some icons. That's right. Wave to people out there. This is happening actually on the internet. You can come find us at youtube.com/GameBytesShow. Subscribe, hit that alarm bell, be notified when we go live. Another way that you can do that is you can go to GameBytesShow.com, where we have an open invitation link to our Discord server. And when we go live, it'll ping you there and notify you as well. And in addition, you can just
there's
hang
more?
out with us. Oh, but wait, there's more. We have all kinds of channels on there. Many things going on at any given time. I think our most recent one has been travel, but TV's also hot in there. I just watched, guys, the Samurai. No, not Samurai Warriors. What was it? It was the Three Kingdoms one. The one where anyway. It's a Muso game.
Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors. Thank you, Dale Jones. I fell asleep watching this thing. It was a stinker, but they were committed to it.
You
So
could have been watching Arcane.
I tried to, but then that showed up, and then I had to watch that first. And I decided instead of, on this show, I don't know if you remember, but we talked about playing a Muso game once every 5 or 6 years.
Oh, right.
I decided instead of playing the game, I would watch this movie.
You just read the book.
I couldn't resist. Yeah. The book of Dynasty Warriors.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Probably pretty
good. And
good.
then they flew hither and thither in old Japanese and old Chinese.
I'm going to watch Arcane
and
tonight.
He slashed and slashed and slashed and slashed and slashed.
And then did a power slash. Yeah, Lord Cow Cow is in this one, and he's quite handsome and dashing, if I say so myself. And anyway, there's all kinds of good stuff you can do. Find that old back catalog of all of our podcasts there. Spin the roulette. Listen to something. It's all good. And of course, we'll be back in just a week to do this thing again, so you can find us in all of those places. And we just want to be your friends. Please just be our friend. That's what we really want. But until then, while you consider our offer of friendship, this has been your Game Bytes Show podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Be seeing you.
See ya.
Bye.
Please.